Hey there, folks. Pastor Jason here. Glad you can join me for daily devotionals. Today we're in Joshua 17 and 18. Let's get right to it today. Some more portioning out the promised land. Chapter 17, verse 1. This was the allotment for the tribe of Manasseh as Joseph's firstborn. Gilead and Bashan came to Machir, the firstborn of Manasseh and the father of Gilead, who was a man of war. So the allotment was for the rest of Manasseh's descendants by their clans, for the son of Ebezer, Helek, Esriel, Shechem, Hefer, and Shemitah. These are the male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, by their clans. Now Zelophehad, son of Hefer, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, had no sons, only daughters. These are the names of his daughters: Mahala, Noah, Hagla, Milcah, and Tirzah. They came before Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders, saying, "The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our male relatives." So they gave them an inheritance among their father's brothers in keeping with the Lord's instruction. As a result, 10 tracts fell to Manasseh beside the land of Gilead and Bashan, which are beyond the Jordan, because Manasseh's daughters received an inheritance among his sons. The land of Gilead belonged to the rest of Manasseh's sons. The border of Manasseh went from Asher to Mikmatheth, near Shechem. It then went southward toward the inhabitants of En-Tupua. The region of Tupua belonged to Manasseh, but Tupua itself, on Manasseh's border, belonged to the descendants of Ephraim. From there, the border descended to the brook of Cana. South of the brook, cities belonged to Ephraim among Manasseh's cities. Manasseh's border was on the north side of the brook and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. Ephraim's territory was to the south and Manasseh's to the north. With the sea as its border, they reached Asher on the north and Issachar on the east. With Issachar and Asher, Manasseh had Beth Shean with its towns, Ibleam with its towns, and the inhabitants of Dor with its towns, the inhabitants of Endor with its towns, the inhabitants of Taanach with its towns, and the inhabitants of Megiddo with its towns, the 3 cities of Naphath. The descendants of Manasseh could not possess these cities because the Canaanites were determined to stay in this land. However, when the Israelites grew stronger, they imposed forced labor on the Canaanites, but did not drive them out completely. Joseph's descendants said to Joshua, "Why did you give us only one tribal allotment as an inheritance? We have many people because the Lord has blessed us greatly." "If you have so many people," Joshua replied to them, "go to the forest and clear an area for yourselves there in the land of the Perizzites and the Ephraim, because Ephraim's hill country is too small for you." But the descendants of Joseph said, "The hill country is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites who inhabit the valley area have iron chariots, both at Beth Shean with its towns and in the Jezreel valley." So Joshua replied to Joseph's family, that is, Ephraim and Manasseh, "You have many people and great strength. You will not have just one allotment, because the hill country will be yours also. It is a forest. Clear it, and its outlying areas will be yours. You can also drive out the Canaanites, even though they have iron chariots and are strong." Joshua 18. You'll forgive the background noise. The entire Israelite community assembled at Shiloh, where it set up the tent of meeting there. The land had been subdued by them. 7 tribes among the Israelites were left who had not divided up their inheritance. So Joshua said to the Israelites, "How long will you delay going out to take possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your fathers, gave you? Appoint for yourselves 3 men from each tribe, and I will send them out. They are to go and survey the land, write a description of it for the purpose of their inheritance, and return to me. Then they are to divide it in 7 portions. Judah is to remain in its territory in the south, and Joseph's family in the territory in the north. When you have written a description of the 7 portions of the land and brought it to me, I will cast lots for you here in the presence of the Lord our God. But the Levites among you do not get a portion, because their inheritance is the priesthood of the Lord. Gad, Reuben, and half the tribe of Manasseh have taken their inheritance beyond the Jordan to the east, which Moses the Lord's servant gave them. As the men prepared to go, Joshua commanded them to write down a description of the land, saying, Go and survey the land, and write down the description of it, and return it to me. I will then cast lots for you here in Shiloh in the presence of the Lord. So the men left, went through the land, and described it by towns in a document of 7 sections. They returned to Joshua in the camp of Shiloh. Joshua cast lots for them at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord, where he distributed the land to the Israelites according to their divisions. The lot came up from the tribe of Benjamin's descendants by their clans, and their allotted territory lay between Judah's descendants and Joseph's descendants. Their border on the north side began at the Jordan, ascended to the slope of Jericho on the north, through the hill country westward, and ended at the wilderness of Bethaven. From there the border went toward Luz, to the southern slope of Luz, that is Bethel. It went down by Adaroth Adar, over the hill south of lower Beth Horon. On the west side, from the hill facing Beth Horon on the south, the border curved, turning southward, and ended at Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, a city of the descendants of Judah. This was the west side of their border. The south side began at the edge of Kiriath Jearim, and the border extended westward. It went to the spring of the waters of Nephtoah. The border descended to the foot of the hill that faces the valley of Hinnom, at the northern end of the valley of Rephaim. It ran down the valley of Hinnom toward the south Jebusite slope and downward to En Rogel. It curved northward and went to En Shemesh and on to Gelioth, which is opposite the ascent of Udumim, and continued down to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. Then it went north to the slope opposite the Jordan Valley and proceeded into the valley. The border continued to the slope of Beth Hoglah and ended at the northern bay of the Dead Sea, at the southern end of the Jordan. This was the southern border. The Jordan formed the border on the east side. This was the inheritance of Benjamin's descendants by their clans, according to its surrounding borders. These were the cities of the tribe of Benjamin's descendants by their clans: Jericho, Beth Hoglah, Emek-Keziz, Beth Araba, Zermarim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Ophrah, Sephar Amani, Aphoni, and Gibeah, 12 cities with their villages: Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mezpah, Chephirah, Mazah, Rakim, Irpeel, Tarla, Zillah, Halef, Jebus, that is Jerusalem. I can't even say Jerusalem now. Gibeah, Kiriath, 14 cities with their villages. This was the inheritance for Benjamin's descendants by their clans. All right, so there's the clans all split up. Hopefully the map has been a help to you. It's interesting how they don't drive out the Canaanites like they're told to, or they second guess themselves when they've conquered and they don't know what to do next. We can be the same way, right? We're told one thing and then we have hesitation. We're not sure what to do. We're scared or maybe fearful, or maybe we just don't know the next step and we're not sure. It's a good reminder for us to have faith. Believe and then be blessed. Believe and move out in faith, knowing that the Lord is with you. I hope Joshua 17 and 18 have been a blessing to you. Go on out, be a blessing to those around you, and I'll see you tomorrow as we continue in Joshua.